Hello, everyone. This is Micah from the House Divided College Football Show, and I need to just start with an apology. I did an egregious thing during our last episode, and picked an egregious pick, and then I can do better and I will do better. But Husker Nation, I'm sorry. During the Nebraska Minnesota game was going on while we were recording, and Minnesota was beating Nebraska, and it just wasn't looking good. And we changed our pick from Nebraska, and we just don't want to promote that negativity here. And like I said, we can do better, and we will do better. And I'm sorry, especially to the Huskers out there and super fan Josh Horton. We're sorry. House Divided will be better, and we will be sticking to our first picks, and we will be in support of Nebraska no matter what. Jordan Hair Voodoo.
Ooh. I'm going to rip that jersey off your face and throw it out the window.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the House Divided College Football Show. Today, guys, we have a packed show for you guys. So we're going to jump into that. This is going to be a spooky one, but it may be spooky for the rest of the teams, but Alabama's on that bye week bliss. So let's go. Okay, everybody. So we are going to do this before the committee does it next week because we got to get ours out first. But here we go. This is our playoff prediction for the first playoff 12 teams for that will start in December. You can see we have Indiana's number one. We've got Alabama at two, Texas A&M at three, and Ohio State at four. And then that kind of follows up with Oregon at five, Ole Miss at six. We got seven. We've got Georgia Tech. Eight, we have Vanderbilt. Nine, we have Georgia. Then at 10, we have Miami. 11, we have Texas Tech. And then at 12, we have Memphis coming in to get the group of five spot. So, yeah, definitely think that you guys have some questions. I think Indiana's going to beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. I also think that the Alabama-Texas A&M game will be a lot closer than people think if they both make it to Atlanta and they stay on course like they are charting to do. And yeah, I think it'll be a good one. I hope Alabama can make a run. But honestly, I think almost any team in this playoff, if they just get hot, they can make a run. We saw that last year with Notre Dame. They made it all the way, unfortunately lost to Ohio State. Of course, Ohio State's going to be wanting to put their name back in the hat and win it back to back. But sure, yeah, I definitely think that anything is possible. Like I said, you guys can in the comments decide what you guys think. Maybe even say who you think is going to make it in. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the rest of the season plays out and see how my rankings go against the actual committee's ranking. And we will actually probably report on that next time. Okay, as you guys can see, we have a graphic here for our Heisman finalist predictions. We made these predictions, and we're going to hope that these five make it to New York. Now, that could change as the season goes on. We could do another one before then. We probably will before conference championship weekend around that time for the finalists. Okay, if you guys can see, we have number one, Ty Simpson from Alabama. He's been putting up great numbers. He looks good. Dual threat quarterback. Definitely going to be a contender for sure. I think it's going to come down to the wire between him and Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. But we could manifest the fabled Theismann, and he could be the first Theismann player. So, yeah, Ty, go win it for us. You're playing like a dog. Roll Tide. And then Fernando Mendoza, he's doing great. Kirkson, he's a great coach. Mendoza's killing it. Definitely believe that he could win it as well. Definitely going to see both of them in New York in December. And then on top of that, we're also going to probably see Marcel Reed. I think those are our three locks for sure for November for going for the December finalists. I do think that Marcel Reed is an amazing quarterback as well. We saw what he did against LSU last week, and it was phenomenal. Great play. He was, able to score some touchdowns on his own. Was also able to make some great throws. So yeah, I also think that Number 4 will more than likely be Diego Pavia if Vandy continues to trend the way that they are trending. Diego Pavia is putting up great numbers as well. He looks good. He's got a lot of fight to him, a lot of grit. Definitely a guy that loves the sport of football. And then number 5, this is the one that I was a little iffy about and could change. But for our first Heisman finalist list, like I said, we'll do another one. Um, it's going to be right now Haynes King. I think we're going to see him in Georgia Tech. He puts his body on the line every week. They just give him the ball and he does some good runs. And he does great all around. But we'll see what he can do and if his body can take the wear and tear. And just as that continues to go on. And that could change. Trinidad Chambliss is also an interesting guy, and Dante Moore from Oregon. Okay, guys, as you can see, after Florida lost to Mississippi State, they fired Billy Napier like I predicted before that game. So yeah, definitely. Also, LSU fired Brian Kelly after they got blown out by A&M, and we'll talk about that more soon. But yeah, definitely don't know what either of those teams are really going to do. I do know that they are going after Lane Kiffin. They all want Lane. Lane is doing tremendous work at Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss is balling out. He's a good quarterback. They're looking like they're going to get in the playoffs. So everybody wants Lane. He's a very attractive coach. Honestly, if we didn't have our coach at Alabama, we would want Lane. Lane's a great coach. Definitely would say that. He's a funny guy. He's a bit of a troll, a bit of a wild card, a bit of a spitfire kind of guy, and he's got that. He's just all around good coaching energy that the players love, and definitely I think that he would do well. Honestly, if he was going to leave, I don't think he's going to leave Ole Miss, but if he did, I think that he would go to LSU. I think he would coach there, but we will see what happens. Both those jobs are open. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with those jobs. And yeah, Lane Kiffin is the one of the best coaches right now. Okay, guys, we have a couple of little recaps to hit into. So first, we had BYU beat Utah in the Holy War. It was awesome. BYU was able to get the job done. They were the underdog in that fight. They were able to get it done. And the Cougars, the Mormons. They were able to win, and it was a pretty good win as well. And then from that, they're going to be able to boost themselves up in the Big 12. They're fighting for a playoff spot. Now, I do not think they're going to get it, but if they could prove me wrong, they could get it. Texas Tech is going to be their biggest competition, and they're going to be playing them next week. So we are excited to see that Texas Tech BYU game for sure. And that has a lot of implications for the playoff for the Big 12. Guys, the game that I want to talk about right now is a quick little recap. Was the Florida Rosedale game. We got to see Iowa take on Minnesota, and then they were able to beat Minnesota. Iowa looked really good in that game. Definitely was impressed with the way that they played. They were able to bring home the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy, which is a pig, cool little trophy right here. Maybe one of the best trophies in college football, up there with the Civil War Trophy, the Platypus Trophy, that's played between Oregon and Oregon State. Definitely good for Iowa. Iowa's looking good. Okay, in other news, we have a big development. So we had some bad calls at some of the Auburn games, and that was done by the ref, Ken Williamson, and he has since been permanently suspended from doing SEC conference games. Auburn kind of won there. They finally have held a ref responsible for those egregious calls that they got. So yeah, got rid of Ken, and that's kind of the scoop there. Had a development with some of the coaching changes. Coach Ed Ogeron, wants to get back in. Go Tigers! Wanted to get back into coaching, and he said if LSU wanted to have him back, that he would love it. They're still paying him, and that may be the move if they can't get a big coach. So maybe bring him back. Um, he's going to end up somewhere. He's a great coach. We have two other games to talk about in our recaps, and that would be the Ole Miss game. We get to see Trinidad Chambliss play, and then we also got to see the great coach Lane Kiffin, who is an absolute legend. You saw how I think about Ole Miss. They have one loss and just to Georgia. Now, with that being said, that is the game we're going to talk about. We saw them lose to Georgia in a very close game. It was 43 to 35. Georgia was able to get the win. They found a way, but Ole Miss still looked good in that game. It was the battle between the apprentices of Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, and Kirby Smart. Definitely loved watching that game. It was a game for Georgia at home, and Ole Miss was able to do that. Um, and Ole Miss was able to go on the road, but unfortunately was not able to secure the win. The fourth quarter, they actually shut Ole Miss out and were able to score 17 points, and the Bulldogs were able to use those 17 points to take that lead and to do better. Honestly, in the entirety of the second half, Georgia, a second half team, controlled that game, whereas Ole Miss primarily did. Um, pretty good in the first half. It was a real have me in the first half, not gonna lie situation. But yeah, definitely was proud of Kirby, and the Bulldogs, but also was proud of Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss still looks good, which is going to carry us into a game where he had a better day. Which was at Oklahoma. He was able to take on Brent Venables and John Mateer at Oklahoma. John Mateer still getting over his recovery. Um, and I just think that he's going to take some time to bounce back. They did put up a fight, and it was a fun game to watch. But Ole Miss was able to get the win on the road, and it was a 34-26 game. And ultimately, Lane Kiffin looks good. That's why everybody wants him. There's reason that, like I said, Trinidad Chambliss could sneak into my Heisman updated finalist list if he continues to trend well. It all depends on him and Haynes King and Dante Moore to see who will be in that fifth spot. And definitely, I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs this year, and that would be good. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this team. Okay, so we have a game that went to two overtimes, and also got um, not a good start for the Auburn Tigers, who went 0-4 in SEC play for the third time in 3 years. Hugh Freeze, Mr. Freeze with cheese over here, has not been able to lead Auburn to that victory that they needed at home against Missouri. It was funny because Drink thought they had made a kick, and then he celebrated early, sort of like the South Carolina fans did in that game at Alabama, where they were ready to go down there. And then also we saw, Barstool's Brandon Walker do kind of a similar thing when he ran on the sidelines at the Mississippi State Texas game this weekend and did the horns down. They say pride cometh before a fall. You don't celebrate too early. But Missouri was able to win in second, the double overtime, and they were able to win 23-17 against Auburn. Auburn and Missouri both kind of struggled during this game. We also have the Auburn went on the road and played against Arkansas. Um, Cam Coleman, gotta respect game, had amazing catches. Definitely looked good for Auburn. They were able to get some pick plays that actually helped them turn the tide in the fourth quarter and help them take that lead. They were down to Arkansas for a good while, and then they were able to come back and honestly had a great fourth quarter and looked very impressive. Was proud of the performance there. Arkansas and Bobby Petrino could just not get the job done, and the offense struggled in that fourth quarter, which is what cost them the game. And they came up very short in that game. Like I said, it was 33-24. Proud of Auburn. Hugh Freeze kept the job alive. They were saying they potentially were going to get rid of him, but honestly, they will probably keep him around and maybe even keep him for another year. Depends on how the rest of the season goes. But if he has another bad year again next year, he probably will be out as head coach. I know there's a lot of chatter in the Auburn community about what they want to do, and the fans are divided, and even the boosters are divided. Alabama played Tennessee. That's the first game we're going to recap for Alabama. We're going to hit both the Alabama Tennessee game and both the Alabama South Carolina game since we didn't have an episode last week. And with that, Alabama, smoke them if you got them. Alabama was able to beat Tennessee at home in a crazy electric night game. They were able to smoke and light up the cigars. They were able to win that game 37-20. And then we had some amazing plays. We had a play that was a pick play that ended up being a pick six from Xavier Brown. Phenomenal play. He ran that back all the way. He was able to read. The defense on the defense, he was able to read what Joey Aguilar was doing. It left the coaches dumbfounded. We got Caden Proctor knocking people around like rag dolls. It was just an all-around amazing performance for Alabama in beating Tennessee, and that led Alabama to the gauntlet wins that they've had, and they are now 4-0 against ranked teams back to back in SEC play, and that's the first time a team has done that. Phenomenal work, boys. Proud of you guys. After Alabama made it through the gauntlet, they went to South Carolina to play a game that was in the afternoon. Um, and it started out with a really good play that we have right here. That was a pick play. The ball got hit up, and then they were able to score off of that. And definitely very proud of the boys in that play. Then we were also able um, to do this play, which was the Jeremy Bernard play, and that was awesome. Uh, just great. They South Carolina thought they were gonna let us score so they could get the ball back. We ended up winning that game. 29 to 22. We were able to get the 2 point conversion like we needed. We won that one. Phenomenal game. They win in the critical moments. Had some problems with some passes they got dropped. Ron Williams had the problem with Jalen Mbakwe. Got pushed into the ball, and they got the ball back with the field advantage that let them take the lead. But we were able to bounce back, and we were able to win that game. We were able to survive Cocktober and put Cocktober to bed. South Carolina, where they were on a high from it being homecoming, and they were excited to play Alabama. They're a good team. A lot of their plays have just not gone the way they needed to go in their games. And Lenore Sellers is a great quarterback, and Shane Beamer's a good coach. But yeah, we were able to win that, and it was an awesome game. Roll Tide. Okay, guys, I wanted to recap two of the Vanderbilt games. We got to see Vanderbilt take on LSU. And they ended up winning 31-24. Vandy was able to do what a lot of people think they couldn't do, and they were able to take down LSU. Diego Pavia looks good. They were also able to play their second game at home the next week. There were two back-to-back home games, and they were able to win against Missouri. They were able to hold Missouri to 10 points. And then they were able to score a total of 17 points themselves. Diego Pavia had a good day in that game, and then they're really, I think, though, that helped them win that game. Unfortunately, was the injury that Bo Pribula suffered. Bo Pribula went down, and he may be out for several games. Potentially, depending on how bad that injury is, he could be out for a good remainder of the season. So yeah, definitely don't love that for Missouri, but definitely they were able to win that game. They were able to stay in that fight. Vanderbilt has been able to fight very well in some of these games, and ultimately, I think that's what's going to lead them into their game coming up this weekend. Okay, guys, we have one other game I want to recap, and that is the LSU Texas A&M game. We saw Marcel Reed, Mike Elko's Texas A&M team go into Death Valley at night in Baton Rouge, and they were able to take on the Tigers, and they were able to go in there and dominate, sort of like Alabama did last season when they went in. And Texas A&M was able to go in and win 49-25. Marcel Reed had a field day on them. LSU's defense could not handle them. They were able to let LSU. They just could not. They only scored 7 points in the second half, and it was bad. Garrett Nussmeier was hurt. They had to put in the backup quarterback to even score those 7 points at the end of that fourth quarter. And it was a rough game to watch. And ultimately, that's what led to Brian Kelly getting fired, like we briefly touched on. Also, want to say I'm very proud of Vanderbilt for becoming a top 10 team and looking if they trend the way that they're trending. We talked about this a little in the playoff section, but they could make the playoff. Definitely proud of Vanderbilt. Okay, guys, we're going to jump through some game predictions real quick to finish off the show for today. So we got Georgia and Florida playing at the cocktail party, the world's greatest outdoor cocktail party. That is going to be going on this weekend. That game will be a good one. I think that Georgia is going to win. I don't know what Florida's going to do. Either Georgia is going to win that game convincingly, or Florida is going to somehow put up a fight. We've seen that trend happen with coaches who have been recently fired, so we will see how that pans out. But give me Georgia in that game. Next, we have another big game. Vanderbilt is going to be on the road at Texas in Austin, Texas, and I honestly think that there is a chance that Vanderbilt could continue that trend. However, there is also a chance that Texas could bounce back and have a good win that they really need right now. This, I think, is a game that if Texas can use to correct course and Arch Manning can do well, um, and then Texas can get their team together a little bit more, this could be a run that they need to get back in the playoff conversation if they get this win. But then again, this is also Vandy's um, run as well to get into the playoffs. Now, Vandy could lose one more game after this, but this would put them at a 10-2 situation as a ceiling. And I definitely know that's not what you want to happen. You would prefer to at least have either no losses or one loss, and definitely try to win the rest of your games right out. So definitely, I'm going to pick Vanderbilt in this game. I think Diego Pavia has played very consistently. I think they played good. I think it will be a fun game to watch. I think it will be a close game, and it'll be a good game to start the day tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Okay, everybody, we have a game, the Ole Miss South Carolina game coming up this weekend, and I think this is going to be one of those games where South Carolina is going to be like where they were last week with the Alabama game, and South Carolina is going to put up a fight against Ole Miss. It is a home game for Ole Miss. However, I do think that South Carolina will come on the road, and they will put up a fight. And I think Ole Miss will ultimately win the game. Trinidad Chambliss has been doing great. Lane Kiffin is a good coach. I honestly think that they will take this Ole Miss team all the way to the playoff. I don't think they're going to make the SEC championship more than likely. Now, they could. Depends on some things that happen in the next month. We've still got about 4 games left to play for a lot of teams. Maybe 3 depending on the team. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens, and it's going to be a good November. Maybe the fabled Cockvember happens. They said Cocktober, but maybe the fabled Cockvember is now what it is.
Okay, guys. The Tennessee-Oklahoma game is coming up this weekend, and I honestly think that this one is going to be a good one to watch. We'll see Joey Aguilar go against Oklahoma and John Mateer. That is going to be tomorrow night at 6:30. Number 14 Tennessee versus 18 Oklahoma. It's gonna be fun to watch. I do think that Oklahoma will put up a fight. It is at Tennessee, so I think that Tennessee will potentially pull off the win at home. I'm going to go with Tennessee. Definitely think that they will be able to. I think that John Mateer is, not to say he's bad, but I definitely don't know if he is going to be able to perform to what he needs to perform to win some of these big games. Now, I could be wrong. He could win the game, and honestly, preferably, I would want him to win. I believe in John Mateer, but ultimately, I think Tennessee will win this weekend. I think Oklahoma. I think they're going to win a few more games, but I just don't think that they're going to win this one against Tennessee. Now, I could be wrong. They could win at Tennessee, but Neyland Stadium is an electric atmosphere, and it is at night. So definitely they have that against them. Moving on, we have the Navy North Texas game this weekend. Navy is undefeated, and North Texas is 7-1. I do believe that North Texas will win this game. I think Navy's a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I think North Texas has been playing super consistent. They look good, and I honestly think that North Texas will come out on the win on this one for the pick. Then we also have Georgia Tech playing at NC State. NC State's done well this season, but Georgia Tech has had Haynes King putting his body on the line week after week, and Brent Key has been able to coach that team into a good team. They had a decent season last year, and they've been doing well in the ACC this year. They're on track to get the ACC championship, potentially to play against Miami if everything charts the way it's charting. And I definitely think that Georgia Tech is a good team. I think they're a playoff team. I think they have a chance to prove themselves and maybe even put up a fight against Georgia at the end of the season. Definitely would love to see them win that game. But I think that Georgia Tech will be able to pull off this win this weekend against the NC State Wolfpack. So give me Georgia Tech. Then we have a blackout for the Huskers out there. We are going to see the Huskers play a night game. I looked at the weather. It's going to be a 40 upper 30s start for the game. Like I said, it's a night game. They're going all out. They've redone the field. They've put up some new flags. They've got the black uniforms. They've asked the fans to wear black. Matt Rule got extended. We got that coaching contract extended. And honestly, I don't know if those USC boys, Jaden Mava, he is a baller. Lincoln Riley's a good coach. However, I think USC is going to maybe underestimate Nebraska a little bit. And honestly, this could be a chance for an upset. I don't know if they're going to be ready for that cold weather change from the California heat. So give me Nebraska at night in an electric stadium to win a home upset game to put Nebraska back on track to have a good season in Matt Rule year 3. And they say the fabled Matt Rule year 4 is coming. So we're excited to see that and just to see how much better that Dylan Raiola can get and how much that Matt Rule can get the team on track to do even greater things in year 4. Okay, guys, we have the Auburn Kentucky game coming up this weekend at home. I think that Auburn is going to find a way to win this game, and I think that Auburn will win against Kentucky. I just don't think Kentucky's a good team. Auburn has some good weapons like Cobb, and they have some, their backup quarterback Ashton Daniels, who came in and helped them win that Arkansas game. Like Hugh Freeze said, him and Jackson Arnold are going to be fighting for that QB1 job, and it's going to be competitive competition to see who wants it more and who can perform and make plays in critical situations. And honestly, like I said, I think Auburn's going to be able to get the job done. Cam Coleman is a amazing player. I can't argue that. He's a great wide receiver. And I think that, like I said, Auburn is going to beat Kentucky. I just don't think that Kentucky wins this game. But if Kentucky does somehow win this game, that is not going to look good for Hugh Freeze's jobs, and Auburn fans are going to demand that he gets fired. Okay, everybody, we are at our final game of the week, and no, it is not Alabama. Alabama is on a bye week. Like I said, we are on bye week Bliss. We will play LSU next week, but that is next week's show. Yeah, we have the College Game Day location in Salt Lake City. We have our Utah Utes, who we love, playing the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, Cincinnati has done very well this season, but I think Utah's going to pull the win at home. I think Utah, the only team they've really looked, had a little bit of trouble against was Texas Tech, and that is the team I expect to win the Big 12 and make the playoff. So give me Utah in this game to beat Cincinnati. I think they look good, and yeah, the home team is going to win. Okay, guys, thank you guys so much for watching the House Divided College Football Show. This has been your host, Micah, and then this has also been special guest Ethan. I think he was a host at one point. Maybe we'll have him back one day. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful day.